Hi, this is Dog the Bounty Hunter, and you're listening to WKRP Radio.com. You better be listening, or I'm going to hunt you down.
Corky Kyle doing the legislative boogie.
All right, we're back. We're in the final segment of the show. We've got Mike Whitlock, who's the Executive Vice President of American Surety Company, and he's been sharing with us all the information about commercial bail in the country and what type of stress it's under and what's happening. So let's talk a moment about what's the future of bail in the country.
Well, I remain optimistic about the future of bail in the country. I mean, we have some battles here and there, but I have faith in the the citizens of this country to know what's right, and that they have plenty of common sense. And I think once the citizens are educated about what the courts have been doing in many of these places, certainly in trying to do here in Denver, that if they're awoken to the fact that the courts are in effect are being cavalier with public safety in our communities and letting people out with little or no supervision, and what they're proposing almost is whatever cash you have in your pocket, if they get that passed, we're just going to let you go. And I think the citizens, if they really knew how many outstanding felony warrants there are in their community and people walking around with active warrants committing more crimes, and the low bar that the courts have set for release for these individuals, I think they would really be shocked and frankly disappointed in their representation. So hopefully the citizens we can educate them, and they can communicate with the legislators to say, you know what, we don't want free bail. We don't want to make it easy for these offenders to make bond.
Well, how do you overcome the argument, particularly from the people that the fact that it's going to cost somebody some money to get this bond, and there's a perspective on policymakers that they shouldn't have to pay anything, because they may not have the money, that they shouldn't have any skin in this game, because I see that as being one of the real things that's going to affect this industry in the future, because you get the liberals out there that said, what do you mean he's got to put up $1,500? He doesn't have it. Why are you bringing his mom and dad's house in for collateral and stuff like this when you can do the 10% deposit bail and bond, and then you're gone? I mean, how do you overcome that rationale?
Well, I think that they're extending the no accountability to the criminal offenders, and that's very short-sighted. And again, that's not taking into account public safety-minded citizens of this area and areas of other states. And I say if you there's that saying, if you can afford to do the crime, then you can afford to pay the dime. I guess I kind of just made that up myself, but
not bad. I like it.
But they should be able to pay for your mistakes.
Right.
And if you're a bond, paying for a bond is in effect, rather than putting up full cash, not a deposit, rather than putting up full cash, you're in effect borrowing the money at a 10% or 15% fee, much like if you went to the bank, they would charge you or put it on your credit card at 30% interest or what have you. You're paying for a policy to guarantee that bond. And if you show up to court, the policy doesn't have to be paid, just much like if you pay for your fire insurance, if your house doesn't burn down, so be it. But you had that coverage if you needed it.
That's right.
So I think that's a specious argument with respect to, people can't afford money. That's what friends and family, if they have a loved one in jail, some of them say, hey, they did the crime, leave them in there. I don't want them there. But some of them say, you know what, we're going to get you out because you're a provider and you have to make a living and we need the income, so we'll go your bond. And that's a cost, but it's to me, they're not looking at the public safety issue. I think that's really the top of the pyramid of concerns here, is that if you have individuals, just like take this fellow out in Pennsylvania that was charged allegedly, molesting kids. This coach at
42 of them, I think.
42, and the judge lets him out on a $100,000 unsecured bond. Well, that's air. what I call an air sandwich. Is there's nothing there. I mean, he's guaranteeing his own appearance in court, and they're not taking any collateral. Now, eventually, they increased that bond to $250,000 or whatever, but he was out for several weeks, basically with no guarantee of appearance for multiple counts of that type of charge. And to me, I don't even understand the reasoning behind that. That a judge would allow someone out with that type of charge with no guarantee of bond. It's an affront to the citizens of that community, and I think it's pitiful. There's just no other word for it, that I have for it. So you just keep making your arguments that bail is about guaranteeing an appearance in court, and if you don't have a full guarantee, then you've got a partial guarantee, and a partial guarantee doesn't cover the bond.
That doesn't. That's not a lot of incentive to make sure that you show up, or that you plan for your case, or any of those other types of things.
That's right.
That's it's. I don't know how we got away from those moral standards that we use within the community. I mean, you talk about that, and that's very real. Public safety. I mean, do you want somebody running around there that molested 42 kids? Or do you want somebody who shot somebody just going back home next door and say, hey, how are you?
Or do you want the person that's driving on the streets drunk for a third time with your kids and family members driving around on those same streets? And here this person is, maybe he failed to appear for last time he was arrested for DWI.
Right.
Or again, domestic violence. I mean, do you want someone who's charged with a serious case of domestic violence to just walk in and just give us the deposit right back out again, no cooling off period? Or maybe there is one, and I don't want to speak too directly on that. Maybe there is one in Colorado where there's a cooling off period for that type of crime. But, there should be some barrier to exit. It should be a reasonable bond, but at the same time, they should come up with some form of guarantee to secure their appearance in court.
You bet. Hey, I want to thank you for coming on the show today.
I enjoyed it.
Know, like I said, you just flew in from Indianapolis.
Yes.
And we really appreciate it. Great show. I mean, it's a lot of good information. I know our listeners got something out of it. That's the important thing. Give the website again.
ASC-USI.com.
And that's where they can go ahead and find your blog at the same site.
They can find our company information. They can find my blog where I blog on many different issues related to bail.
They can find issues about bail, too, because I noticed you posted those there, too.
We do. All kinds of information there.
Well, I hope you'll come back on the show. I'm sure you'll be in and out of here during the legislative session since bail is being sunset this year. And
Corky, I'll be happy to come on anytime you invite me, and I'll be here.
You got a standing invitation, my friend.
Awesome.
Fantastic. All right. Mike Whitlock, the Executive Vice President of American Surety Company. All right, tomorrow's guest is Senator Keith King, and fantastic guy, the education guru in the Senate. He'll be fantastic. Don't forget that immediately after this show, you got Roots to Raps with May Z. And we got, after him, we've got Trevor Rocks Denver. Two great shows, so just stay where you are and listen to what's going on the internet. This is The Lobbying Pro, your host, Corky Kyle. You're in the lobby. This is the WKRP Radio and NFN Radio Network. Jamal, let's adjourn this show. Let's adjourn. Let's call this. Let's end.